Good afternoon, guys. Today, I took a deer yesterday. Some of you have seen it. And today we get into the processing, taking the hide off, a little butchering to get it all done. So I figured I'd take you through a tutorial. Sorry it's in the garage, but it's windier than heck outside. Otherwise, I've been doing this in the tree. If I did it in the tree right now, you probably wouldn't be able to hear me say anything. So I put them up on my gambrel hoist and, put them up in the air. Respectable 8. Most people say, oh, it's a little bitty deer. That's, you see something like this walking through the woods, and if you're a hunter, you're probably not going to pass on it. But I heard the comments and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, everybody's got their own thing. I'm hunting meat. I don't eat racks, so you can't eat the bone anyway. We're going to do most of the hide with this little knife, the same one that I gutted them with yesterday. But like all things first, you give them a good brush down, get all the burrs out. I had to drag him out of a field, so he was covered in corn husks and burrs and everything else. But like every other animal, I spent the last 20 minutes trying to comb them down, take all the burrs out, so it makes it easier when I go into the fleshing portion. Have respect for the animal that you've harvested. And makes it a lot easier anyway. At least for me it does. So we're going to get fleshing this, or taking the hide off, and then we'll get to the actual meat processing. I use the same thing that I will use on my other animals, which is just a hook knife. It helps me to get the hide going in the right way. But first things first, I like to follow this white line from the belly in on the legs. We start here on the inside of the legs, and let's get to this. Sorry about my messy garage. This is Man Cave Central. The same on the other leg. And the hook knife makes it really, really simple, because it gets under there without actually messing a whole lot of stuff up. Now you're going to want to watch, inside of his legs he's got a gland right here. Let's see if I can spin him. You see it right here easier on this one. He's got a gland. You want to avoid that. So we're just going to come underneath it. And we'll cut around. Try not to cut the tendon, because that's actually what's holding him up right now. Same on the other one. You want to get the legs started. We'll do the same when we get down here to the lower legs. Like I said, be careful around these tendons, because that's what's holding them up on your gambrel. And you don't want to cut into the glands either. Without actually nicking it or cutting it. Coming into this, we already opened that side. And we're going to save almost every part of this. I'm going to show you what you guys can do with the deer other than meat. We're going to process this hide out. We're going to tan it. We will smoke it, we will stretch it, we will flesh it. We're going to do everything with it, and this will be turned into something at a later date. Don't know what I'll make out of it, but I'm thinking hide off. You can do it with hair on. I'm thinking hair off. just for me, because I have some ideas for some leather that I want to do with it. Working on these legs. Now he sat outside chilling last night. So granted, taking the hide off would be easier if it was warm, but it's not. Around this. And then it's just a matter of knife work, working close to the meat without actually cutting it, just to remove the hide. Give me something to grip on here. Now cutting through hair will dull a knife, okay? So I suggest that you go in and pull out so you're not actually cutting the actual hair. I'm getting this one off. Once I get it started, it'll come down real simple. There we go. Comes down easier. Unzip the little dip. Hope I don't slip. Who knows what I might rip. Get your knife in there and just work along the meat. Like I said, it'd be a lot easier if he was warm, like any animal. We get to fleshing and stretching coon, fox, coyote, and all that stuff this year. You'll see the difference between a cold hide and a warm hide. They come off real easy. Now I could probably air skin this. I don't know how well it would work now that I've made some cuts, but I could have done that, put an air compressor in there. I did a video on that last year for a possum, just to show you how that works, and it works real well. Cold. And we're going to be at this a while, guys, so I'll be turning the camera off and on, just to show you, get it started. And normally I'd have one of these skinned in about, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, but he is cold. I have a tool down here I might use. I just might want to see if it works. And use the gambrel and the hoist to pull him out of his hide. But we'll see about that. A lot of fat on this guy. A lot of fat. Big chunks of fat. We'll start trying to get some of that off. And don't throw the fat away, you know, that's tallow. And we may make some tallow out of this, out of all this fat. Don't know. Like I said though, I think you should do pretty much everything you can with every part of this animal. It is a gracious gift to get a deer. Most guys, you know, if you're a gun hunter, I'm just going to say this right now because I know I'm going to get some gun hunters. You know, to me, gun hunting, I can shoot real well, dude. Pretty damn good with a rifle. It's a little different with a bow because you really have to get close and to the animal. So having a guy say, well, hell, I blasted a buck at 200 yards. Deer didn't even know you were there when you shot them. You know, their comfort zone's 50, 60 yards. If you get within inside that, they're really alert. But 200 yards, he's never even going to hear the round before it hits him. When you shoot a deer with a bow, 30, 20, you know, you're somewhere in that range. you're in his comfort zone. He's not going to stick around for the noises. If you make a mistake, he's gone. And like I think with most animals, they get pretty wise to the areas that then you're at, and they avoid them like the frickin' plague. This guy, he'd been tearing up trees over where I was, and he had 3 or 4 trees toward a crab, so I kept scenting it with a couple of things, Conquest, Evercalm deer scent. You know, I did that. I'm not going to keep the tail, guys. I don't really care for that little stub of whatever. And besides, when I'm tanning it, it just gets in my way. But he was working on keeping those rubs going, you know. Wanted to smell if there was any other deer that had come by. So he, instead of walking down into the creek, which is where I really, you know, I'm on a tree stand. When I heard him, I heard the crunching, but I got a bush in front of me, so I can't see. By the time I seen him, he was crossing over here. I grabbed my bow out of the stand, and then he was in the woods, getting ready to go down the hill, and I'm looking at his head, and I'm going, I don't have a shot like this. So I stepped down on one rung of the ladder to get underneath it, and I came at full draw, and I'm like this. Now that's an uncomfortable shooting position. And then he turned, I saw his head, it was like this, and then he just turned and came back this way. So I eased up, and as he was crunching and munching, I came to full draw down here and followed him out. And as soon as he stepped into the clear, punched him. I mean, you practice different scenarios because these guys are tricky. They are not going to do what you think they're going to do. I got a friend, very good friend of mine, some of you guys know who I'm talking about, living in New Hampshire. I swear the man's having Murphy this year. You know, anything that could go wrong is going wrong. And he's trying his best to be up in the trees and get you guys videos and stuff. And we had made this arrangement, kind of, that we were going to do this on video. And I was hoping to God he'd be the first one to do it. You know, I could do this. I know he can do it. He's got more followers. I really like watching his videos, and I want to see him succeed. But we were talking yesterday after I got this one, and I told him, I said, you know, D, I prefer you to do this on video. You know, he goes, dude, just do it. You know, he's like, that doesn't concern me. You know, I said, I don't want to steal your thunder or anything, because you're not stealing my thunder, brother. So, you know, we made this arrangement, and I said, okay, I'll do this. And I know he's going to get a deer. There's no doubt in my mind the man's going to get a deer. So he'll be doing it too. Well, a lot of fat on this guy. I'll be fleshing this buddy for a while here. He's got some good thick fat right through here. That's good fat. But yeah, Derek's a good friend of mine. I really like watching his videos. He cracks me up. He says it like it is. There's no, oh, I'm not going to be me. I'm going to be a salesman today. No, that's not him. He is 100% outdoorsman through and through. So I probably get so much enjoyment watching his stuff, talking to him. Need to get this other leg started. You know, and I butchered this thing yesterday with this. But you have to, and I'm going to tell you guys, this is going to be kind of the gross part here. Get some of these sticks out of here. You got to get up through the rib cage. So you got to come down along the sternum and open them up so you can get up in there and grab the trachea and cut that and pull it all back in one. Everything comes out in one big thing. You down slice through the hams, and then you got to saw through the pelvic bone right here, just to get the guts out in one spot. Otherwise, you're sitting there reaming, cutting it off here, cutting it, pulling it out the back, trying to ream in and out of here. I don't do that. I want it all to come out in one spot, so I split the pelvic bone, which opens them up big. I split the chest cavity, opens them up real big so that you can get up in there and get your hands. And I only got blood up to about here. No big deal. That, all that stuff washes off. Like I say, none of this is really rocket science. It's been done for umpteen hundreds of years. We're just doing it for pure nostalgia, basically, at this point. Let me work on this, guys. I'll turn the camera off and on. I know I'll be editing quite a lot to get this. Hopefully that you guys can enjoy a decent video. I'm not good at editing, so, like I said, this whole video concept to me thing is relatively new. There. Work your hands in there if you have to. But this is meat on the table, guys. No part of this should go to waste. This animal deserves every bit of respect that you can give it. Like any animal, I could have cleaned this whole video up and you would just look at the butchering portion of it, but that's not reality. Let's not sugarcoat the fact that this is a harvested animal. We're not going to try to play it off like it's something that it's not. It's all well and good, and there's meat just falls off of it and winds up on your plate. Doesn't work like that. So let's keep it real. We'll do the best that we can to, try to edit out the portions that probably are not family appropriate. I'm going to try to keep my cussing down because you guys know me. I swear like a sailor. But, if your knife gets dull, this has to be one of the sharpest knives I've ever seen, though. It's a Mauser. It's a German Mauser. I've had it for going on 20 years now. This thing will cut through anything. And I don't care what it is, it'll cut through it. Probably cut through a nail if you let it. If you really wanted to work at it that bad. Some guys go, man, I'd already have that deer skinned out. Yes, a little easier to do if, one, if he's not cold, and two, if I wasn't talking on video, I'd probably be just working at it. I'd get them shucked out a little bit easier, but the legs, the meat is, or the hide is really stuck to the legs good. You just work your hand in there too. Ooh. We'll get this, once we get it shucked off the back, I think I'm going to use my hoist and my gambrel to do a lot more of the work. So I'll show you that. I'm going to try it first, guys. If it doesn't work, quite honestly, I mean, I'm not out anything, but I would like to see it work, to pull him out of his hide. Just don't know if that's going to be doable. Let the knife do the vast majority of the work. Don't struggle with it. If you can get a grip on it and your hands don't get too greasy. And I would suggest gloves. You don't know anything about the blood of this deer, so try to keep it, that stuff to a minimum. And there might be some ticks or whatever. I mean, I doubt it. most of the ticks leave. Fleas and all that stuff disappear too. Lots of fat on this boy. Lots of fat. We're gonna have some good tallow out of this. I've never actually made it. I've seen the videos. And I got a hell of a memory for things that I've seen. So if you show it to me one time, more than likely I'll have it down. This is where it starts getting a little bit easier, guys, once you get it off the haunches. Just gotta really work, you know. The knife does the vast majority of the work. Let me show you this. You pull down, you get this membrane right here. Just zip it. There's nothing to it. Especially on the back here. And you're just basically pulling. You see how quick that comes off? For those that don't hunt, and you might want to watch this, you know, just to see, this is nothing different than what your butcher does. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I'm not going to say this is, you know, Bambi and all that. You know, Walt Disney did not write the book on the outdoors. Hunters did. And our conservation efforts with our tags and licensing and fees and stuff provide the wildlife out there for you to enjoy. So if you want to sit there and bust my balls about poor little Bambi, hell, I ate Bambi years ago with a little garlic and butter. You know, I hope that pisses you off, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it while you're wearing your leather outfits. Or, let's be realistic here, folks. Do you know what it takes to make a pair of cotton jeans? Denim is cotton. You have to kill everything in that field. Songbirds, mice, bugs. Cotton does not take well to insects. You kill everything in that field. So if you're worried about one little deer, you done killed billions and billions of mice, songbirds, by poisoning off that field for a cotton field. Just so you can wear your pair of jeans. You got your leather belt. Well, some cow died for that. You know, your leather jacket. I don't want to hear about the naysayers going, oh, poor Bambi. Oh my God. Bambi was gone a long time ago, okay? That may piss off a few people. And quite honestly, at that point, I really want you to stop watching my videos. Move on with your life, because I cannot convince you that what I do is perfectly normal, perfectly humane. You want to talk about humane? This deer never knew he was hit with an arrow. Shot him at 15 feet. He never knew it. He walked another, and I mean walked. He took one hop immediately upon being hit, but walked another 15 feet and died. I watched him die, and he was probably dead on the ground in 20 seconds. Didn't know he was hit, just couldn't breathe anymore, and that was the end of it. God, he's got some good fat on him. Real good fat. Must have been eating well. Okay, I'm going to shut off the camera. I'm going to try my gambrel idea. If it works, I'll turn it back on before I totally shuck them off. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, guys, I gave it a quick try. I think I'm happy with what's going to happen here, so I lowered them down. Used my clamp on here to hold it down. It's attached as welded to a railroad tie. It's not going to be pulled up. And then just use the hoist to pull it. And you're just going to do this. May have to do it on both sides. And I'm thinking that's gonna set a precedent for me to actually put another one on the other side. Yeah, there's nothing really rocket science about doing a deer. Use the hoist as much as I can. Okay, this is not where he was hit. There's no hole here. This is just where blood has congealed from his night laying down cooling. No, I didn't hang him last night. Matter of fact, I didn't even take him out of my back of my truck last night. I'm staying there. It was cold outside last night. Very cold last night. Well, 20s. And made it kind of easy to keep them cool and safe from predators. I have lots of coyotes around here. Do not need one chewing on my deer. But it would be no different than, say, it's no different than, say, you know, a deer shot in the woods. Hunter doesn't find him till the next day because he couldn't track him that night. Whatever, the same flavor. I think this thing would work really great on smaller game. I really do believe that. Get it through here. And that's what I really designed, you know, made this thing for this year, was for smaller game. I wasn't expecting to do this with a deer. Yeah, I can't get in there that well, or can't get the hide on there that well. But we just keep working on it. It's gonna really shuck out coons, I guarantee that. Possums, which are really kind of hard to skin, at least for me. Probably because I don't like doing it. I hate possums. But I mean, they're all of them are fairly the same, especially if you're case skinning. Got a lot of fleshing to do on here. Get this muscle membrane and other membranes off. But then, I mean, that's all easy. You could just basically do this with your hands. I just use the knife to help guide it a little bit. You can stick your hands in here and just push down. Get up around here, around the shoulders and stuff, and front legs. We're going to do the same thing. Zip it around, up. Matter of fact, that's probably a good thing to do right now. Okay, I'm going to try to get this in the camera. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. I'm going to zip them right about here with a hook knife and just come around the hide, open it up, okay? Then I'm just going to go up the white. Do the same on the other side. Okay. We'll go back to our knife. Get in here. Just come on up. There you go. I think the legs are a little bit harder to do, especially if it's a cold deer. We'll get to it. Theoretically, what, I've been at this 4 or 5 minutes now. Need that done. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the rack yet, guys. Don't really need another one. I got a bunch of 12s, 13, 14 downstairs, so I'm not probably gonna keep the rack for anything other than maybe making some deer buttons or something. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of use for the rack. I'm sure some guys will say, hey, knife handle blades and this and that and all the other things, but just that's not my thing, guys. I really don't care for the rack. I'm one of those people who say, well, you know, I can't eat it, so I don't hunt rack anymore. Now, that's not to say, and I'm gonna quantify that. That's not to say that if a 30-point buck walked by me, I wouldn't zip it. You dang right I'd zip it. But I don't actively hunt for bone, okay? I'm more into how much meat can I get on the table, cut my grocery bill down just a little bit. God, my grocery bill's outrageous with 4 kids. And I'll tell you what, they eat like there's no tomorrow. Maybe there isn't a tomorrow, that's why they do it. You see, I don't look exactly skinny either, so I shouldn't probably bust on my little skinny little. Every one of my kids is a freaking pencil. Eats 3 times as much as I do. Heck, I look at a sandwich, I done put on 5 pounds. These kids, they constantly eat, and they never ever gain a pound. My son and my daughter, they're twins. I don't think either one of them weigh over 40 pounds and they're 8 years old. Skinny little pencils. My son will come home, sit down and start eating. You know, snack. Then he wants his dinner. My 2 older daughters, maybe 100 pounds. One's 14, one's 15. I don't know. Because they take after my wife, because that one was a pencil too. But this puts some extra food on the table. We've been doing this for, God, ever since me and my wife got together. She knows I'm a hunter. This meat has provided us with a lot of different meals. I mean, deer chili, and she uses the ground beef, what would be ground beef, in almost every recipe that calls for ground beef. The kids do not know that they're eating deer. They've never known it. We always told them, hey, when we first started, hey, it was beef. You know, that's cow, they don't know. Now I don't think they know the difference between cow and deer. We've been at it for so long with them. But I'm going to show you a couple of tricks to getting the gaminess out. Now I'm going to tell you, there's not going to be a lot of gaminess in this animal. And the reason why, he didn't travel. Okay? Usually when a deer is shot, they run. You all know this. You hear, man, they run. I tracked that thing a country mile and a half, and yada, 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 yada. He didn't get a chance to do that. Died too fast. And what you're getting is the adrenaline in the meat, okay? That's all that is adrenaline. You can get out the adrenaline real easy. Most butchers hang your deer 4 or 5 days. They're letting all that blood that would be like here just drain towards the head, or you know, towards the back end, depending on how they hang it, and they drain it off. Kind of like embalming, but you're hanging there until you just totally bone dry and all the blood rushes out of all this meat and just works its way down and disappears. Well, there's a simpler way to do that, as far as I'm concerned, when you get into the quick time. And we'll get to that on the butchering portion of it. We'll get most of this blood off real easy. I mean, like I said, that's not where he was hit. He was hit right up here. I want to get to that to show you. Matter of fact, maybe that is where it came out. Yeah, here's where it came out. Or no, as a matter of fact, okay, you gotta figure the deer is stretched, all right? That's the entrance right there on an angle, coming out. I gotta spin him around. Yeah, that's the entrance right there. That's, I got ribs all the way to here and ribs to here. Well, realistically, that deer would have been standing there right behind the shoulder. I could have probably gotten a little closer up here, but the angle was this angle down through here, and he came out, wow. Right there. Literally right behind the shoulder, right here. So it's a complete pass through. You can see it right here. Definitely in the ribs. Right through the lungs. Out through the lung right here. There's my fingers all the way in there. So boom, boom, da bing, bada boom. Okay? Definitely through the lung area, which is where you want to take your deer. Just, let's face it, if you can't breathe, you can't walk. Can't walk, you don't know that it's not painful. It's, what it is you run out of air and you're like, wow, I need to lay down. Expires real fast. And any animal that dies in the wild, other than a hunter doing it, dies a worse, more painful death than any hunter could ever put on that animal. Hands down. You want to see a deer attacked by a coyote? You'd be sorry for that deer. He'd probably have nightmares because they're not very friendly when they decide to tear something up. So they're not going to take a big deer down like this unless he's injured. But if he got injured, oh, it's smorgasbord time. Getting to the point where I may take them off the gambrel, lash them around the waist. I need to get them up higher. And seeing how I have a short garage, so let's turn you guys off again. There you have it, fellas. Hide off. Really didn't take that long. Now we're gonna get to doing some of the more tedious jobs, like cutting the legs off, head off. We won't show you that on film. We'll get to where we're actually doing the meat processing. So stick around, guys.